2016 has actually been a really great year for film. I know that some were disappointed with the summer season in particular, but I feel like at the end of the day, there were more memorable films of 2016 than there were of 2015. And so these are my top 10 films of 2016. The films I think are the best, that are my favorites, and that I think you should definitely go and check out if you get the chance. Of course, this list is entirely subjective. I fully expect to be the only person with this particular list. I know this is a bit late to be putting out a top 10 list, especially compared to other critics, but I wanted to make sure I'd seen all the films I'd wanted to of 2016 before I finalized this list, and unfortunately that took the months of January. But here they are now. Just a note, these aren't my full reviews, they're just my quick thoughts and summation. If you want to read my full reviews, I'll include links to them. There is one movie on this list that I haven't written a review for, that hopefully I'll get around to doing before the Oscars. Firstly, 2016 really has been such a good year for film that I want to bring attention to a number of honorable mentions. So here are my 10 runners-up. The Red Turtle, a beautiful, evocative, and captivating new fable from a Dutch animator I can't wait to see more from. Sing Street, just a tremendously charming, well-made little Irish movie about a boy starting a band to impress a girl. Moana, another really great Disney movie with stunning animation, catchy songs, and an amazing new talent in Oli Cravalho. Rogue One, a Star Wars story. It has its problems, but it thoroughly deepens and darkens the Star Wars universe and delivers on exactly what it promises. Lion, the most uplifting true story you'll see this year, wonderfully told and with some damn good performances. Hacksaw Ridge, Mel Gibson's comeback and a really good war film at that, telling the story of a person who deserves to be remembered. Hell or High Water. This movie really grows on you as you think about it, especially for its atmosphere, themes of brotherhood, and snubbed performances. Star Trek Beyond. Yeah, seriously, this was a really good Star Trek movie that embodied the spirit of Star Trek better than either of the other reboots. Long Way North. Another foreign animated movie that really needs to be seen for its pretty visuals and engaging adventure story. Eddie the Eagle. I love Cool Runnings. This is that, but taken a little more seriously. Number 10. The Edge of 17. This movie is the most honest high school film I've seen in a long time. It's clearly in that vein of John Hughes films in how it understands teenagers. And this film portrays them so realistically. How the teenagers, they behave like real teenagers, they talk like real teenagers, they swear liberally, they drink alcohol, they use sexual language, they're sexually active. And in this highly realized world, it helps that the performances are very good, particularly Haley Steinfeld, in a role that should have gotten her an Oscar nomination. How good she is at portraying this girl whose world is crumbling around her, even though we know it's not, but we understand because we remember when issues like self-image and your crush not noticing you were such ground-shaking issues that it would feel like the world's crumbling around you. And she portrays it so well. The actors around her are so terrific too, especially Woody Harrelson as one of the most fun English teachers I've ever seen. And as an English grad, I really love the English jokes in this movie. But he's also, there's such a heart to his character too. The writing is so great. The directing, Kelly Freeman Craig, she's someone to really watch out for. And even though the story is going in a direction a lot of the times that you think it's going to go, and there's a bit cliche that you've seen maybe one too many times in the 80s, it makes some interesting choices, and it takes certain expected tropes and uses them in a new way that feels unique. One particular aspect near the end just it catches you off guard. It deals with teenagehood and these problems that all high schoolers kind of go through at some time. very maturely, and it doesn't talk down to his audience, and that I really appreciate. It's a movie that should be seen by both teenagers and adults. Number 9, Manchester by the Sea. Continuing the honesty thread, Manchester by the Sea is brutally honest, and that may be its biggest strength. It very accurately portrays the mixed feelings surrounding coping with loss. This film is set in a small coastal Massachusetts town, and in a very small town way, it's a pretty intimate story, very character bound, and that also is one of the film's greatest aspects, because the performances on the major characters are so well done. Casey Affleck, in a year with a lot of great performances from Ryan Gosling and Dave Patel and Andrew Garfield twice, this has got to be Casey Affleck's year, because he plays this character, Lee Chandler, very subdued, and there's such depth behind his eyes that you can see what this character's been going through. You get these hints, and I love how the movie is structured, that you don't figure out what actually happened until a little ways in. It builds on that, and when you find out, you immediately sympathize with this guy who was kind of an asshole before. And he plays this character with just quiet solidarity, and you know he's just trying to get by in life, and also legitimately do what he feels is best for his nephew after the passing of said nephew's father, his brother. And Lucas Hedges, who plays this nephew, is superb as well. He really knows, or he really captures well the feeling of a kid, a 16-year-old kid, who doesn't quite know how to express his feelings over his father's death, and how he tries to get around it and shake it off, but ultimately can't. Such a good performance from that young guy. Michelle Williams, too, even though she's not in as much as she should be, delivers a really profound and very moving performance. There's one scene in particular that is a little too typical of kind of an Oscar baiting thing, but she does it with such conviction, and you really feel for her. You really feel for this whole situation. It's a very depressing movie, but it's earned, because it's so honest and so true, and not afraid to say, no, this isn't how everyone doesn't really get over things in the same way or at the same time, or if ever. It's a very, very good, thought-provoking movie that you should definitely check out. Number 8, Kung Fu Panda 3. Is it safe to say I'm the only person with this on my list? What can I say? Kung Fu Panda has been such a surprisingly remarkable series. And this film, Kung Fu Panda 3, is just such a good third chapter of that series. The animation is, as always, absolutely gorgeous to look at. The writing and story direction is so good. It continues off of the previous two in terms of developing the arc of Po and of this world. I love that we see the spirit world in this movie, and I love that it continues the theme of delving into Chinese and East Asian philosophy, as well as martial arts. Qi plays a very important part in this movie as a life force. There's so much this film has going for it. It came out really early last year, back in January, and so it's no surprise that a lot of people have forgotten it. Probably the reason it was nominated for Best Animated Feature. But it definitely deserves it. The cast is still really good, and the new cast members. Bryan Cranston is great, and J.K. Simmons as this villain, who's always a great time in the movie. And also a special shout out to James Hahn, who in all three of these films voiced Poe's adopted father. He's really kind of the unsung hero of this series. And it definitely shows in this movie, which has as much heart and as much significance placed on the themes of family as any of these films. It's a really terrific animated movie, a really terrific animated series that you should definitely check out, and then maybe you won't think this quite a bizarre entry. Number 7, The Nice Guys. The Nice Guys is that return to the buddy cop genre we didn't really realize we wanted. And who better to do that than Shane Black? Some would compare this movie to Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, which was the last movie Black made before Iron Man 3. And I actually think The Nice Guys is better. It immerses you very ideally in this in the 1970s. It feels like a movie made in the 70s, really, against this gritty world of goofy protests and LA pornography. And it's got a really good mystery going for it, too. You're legitimately intrigued throughout. And that's also aided by the great characters. Russell Crowe and Ryan Gosling are the duo in this movie, and their chemistry is fantastic. And they're not a typical kind of odd couple team. They have their similarities and their differences, but it makes them a lot more fun. The cast is full of other great performances too. Anjali Rice, the newcomer as Ryan Gosling's daughter, is really terrific in this, and of course I love Keith David in any movie he's in. Maybe the best quality of The Nice Guys though is its incredibly sharp writing. This is some of Shane Black's finest. It's really witty, really fun. And it makes the film feel so energized, and you stay with it throughout. I mean, the comedy is just superb. Ryan Gosling, especially with the physical stuff he does in this movie, it's manic. The Nice Guys is definitely a movie that you should check out. It didn't do so well in theaters this past summer, because it opened the same weekend as Captain America: Civil War. Which is a shame, because of the movies that came out this year, The Nice Guys is one of the few I actually would like to see a sequel for. I'd like to see these characters again. And if you go and watch it, you'll want more of them too. Number 6, Captain America: Civil War. And now the film that crushed The Nice Guys' chance of getting that sequel, Captain America: Civil War. But you know what? Civil War may be the best Marvel movie yet. It may even be one of the best superhero movies we've had yet. The way it builds on the previous movies, the action of those previous movies, and particularly the relationship between Captain America and Iron Man, that gets you much more invested in their conflict here. The accord that leaves the superheroes answerable to someone, to the UN, feels moderately realistic for this universe, and the ideologies, you understand them. You sometimes can't decide who's right, Captain America or Iron Man. You go back and forth, and because it does that, it makes you question who's in the right, what's the right thing to do. It makes this a vastly superior movie, and indeed what the movie Batman v Superman should have been. This is also probably Chris Pine's best performance as the character. And in addition to that, it continues the threads of the previous Captain America movies. It doesn't forget what it is. It continues the plot with Bucky and the importance of that friendship, and again, how that's strained with Iron Man's involvement. And just the fact that it has some of the best action set pieces I've seen in a long, long time, and the great characters. I mean, we get a lot of the arguably more characters in this than in some of the Avengers movies. I loved seeing Ant-Man in this. And the way they all work off each other, it's gold. Captain America Civil War really is what a superhero movie should be. It's got the great action, the great characters who you root for, and a little bit of complexity in there too, to leave you guessing and contemplating. It's definitely one of the best, certainly the best blockbuster movie we've had this year. And yeah, it definitely deserves to be seen, or, well, you've probably seen it. Watch it again. Number 5. Moonlight. When it won the Golden Globe for Best Drama, Barry Jenkins said that everyone who can see Moonlight should see Moonlight. And he's right. It is an incredibly provocative coming-of-age story. It's a story of this kid called Chiron growing up in these poor conditions somewhere in Florida. And it's just the story of his life as we check in at various stages. And it's done so well. Each act is divided by these bumpers, these 3 titles named for nicknames that Chiron goes by during that period in his life. And the story is told incredibly stylistically, but I mean, Barry Jenkins is clearly taking cues from some of the classic auteurs, but it works. It doesn't feel contrived or forced or pretentious like something like Birth of a Nation did, because in this case they actually support and enhance the story and characters and tone and symbolism. This is a very powerful movie too. It's very important to know that people like Chiron do exist. Kids who are picked on, discriminated against, because they are introverted, because they are gay. And it's a story that is told with such raw emotion and passion that it really gets to you. It's sad, but it also, but there is also optimism in there. The performances all around are really good. The 3 actors who play Chiron, they each convey these subtle nuances, even though the character is growing up and developing over time. Certain character traits remain intact, and they keep that in sort of the body language. Particularly Trevante Rose as the adult Chiron is really good. Naomi Harris as his crack-addicted mother is wonderful and just explicitly tremendous and unlikable, but also a little empathetic. It's really interesting. And Mahershala Ali, who plays a father figure, kind of torn between 2 worlds, he's stupendous. This is a movie that is very well written. Again, capturing how real kids talk, and it's very insightful, very important, and it makes me incredibly excited for what Barry Jenkins is going to do next. Number 4, Silence. Martin Scorsese's never before made a film quite like Silence. It's grand and epic in scale in the way that reminds you of like films from the 60s and 70s, or Akira Kurosawa films. There's definitely a lot of Kurosawa in this. And it makes for a really grand, unique kind of movie. It's a story of a couple Jesuit missionaries who go to Japan to rescue their mentor and continue his mission after he's apostatized his faith in the face of severe Japanese persecution of Christians in that part of the world. And this film, on a technical level, is wonderful. It's shot so gloriously. It's the best cinematography of the year, just in how grand and breathtaking it is. And the sound design is really good too. The sound is often, in keeping the movie's title, muted, and it allows the natural sounds to carry the movie, which makes it more striking and gripping when the heroes are in danger. It's a great performances. Andrew Garfield, who should be nominated for this performance over Hacksaw Ridge, even though he's great in Hacksaw Ridge, This one was better, and great supporting performances too from like Liam Neeson and Yosuke Kubozuka, who plays this enigma of a character who frequently comes in to challenge Garfield's character. It is a movie that, though its biggest attribute happens to be that it's very intellectually charged. It poses questions to the audience, particularly with regards to faith. It forces you to question the nature of faith. How far would you go for faith? How far would you be pushed for it? How do you reconcile the silence? And it does so in a very fair way. It presents us with a few debate scenes between the Christian and the Buddhist, and neither really comes out on top. It doesn't take a side. And yet, while you could argue criticizes faith, it definitely criticizes iconography in religion. It also supports that too. It is very open to interpretation because you see the certain characters, how they're being persecuted, and it just shows that this is something that means this much to them, that they're willing to die for it, to be martyred for it. It's really something. It's really something fascinating. It forces you to think, which I love. I love to get that response out of a movie. This is a film that is sorely ignored at the Oscars right now, which is a shame. It definitely should be seen because it feels like something from another time. It feels like the kind of film that isn't made anymore, but it was made now, and it is just so fantastic and terrific and challenging. It's definitely a great work of art you should go and see as soon as you have the opportunity. Number 3, Kubo and the Two Strings. Coraline and Paranorman were great, but Kubo and the Two Strings is easily Laika's best film. It's by far the best looking stop-motion animated movie I've ever seen. And it's got a great adventure story to boot. This grand story that is inspired by Japanese folklore, and really hammers home the theme of storytelling, how important good storytelling is, and that's something that's very refreshing to see. It's full of remarkable visuals, full of remarkable performances from Art Parkinson and Charlize Theron and Matthew McConaughey even. They all suit these roles and these unique characters. Kubo as a character is very engaging, and the challenges that come to him along his journey. It really is that that hero's journey, but done in a really fun and great way. But what I respect most about this film is that it takes its audience seriously. It's not afraid to go to some dark places, some scary places, because A, it knows that its audience will be able to take it, and B, that by the end it'll all be worthwhile. It'll be earned by the end of it, and so it can be a little more gritty and edgy and for a kids film, and the fact that it goes to places that most other films of this nature would skirt around, I just have the utmost of admiration for that. This movie is also abundantly creative and imaginative, and it's just a great testament to the kind of wonder and imagination that cinema is capable of. It's a tremendous movie, one of the best animated movies, easily from Laika. It's the best of the year. Definitely go and check it out. It is well worth the effort. Number 2, Don't Think Twice. Don't Think Twice is a movie I haven't written a review for yet, but I'm going to try and get around to it. It's also a movie that most of you probably haven't seen or heard of, which is a shame, because it is quite unique or original. Unlike any movie I think I've ever seen, it's about an improv troupe, and they're a struggle to make in New York, and what happens to them as a group of friends when one of them achieves their collective dream job. I love how it explores this idea, it explores the people kind of left behind when someone rises to fame, and depicts very well that jealousy that arises between friends when they're trying to get by in a fiercely competitive world. And we see some of the truth in that. We see that some of these guys, they don't even like the Saturday Night Live stand they're trying to get a job on, but it's their only option to make even some money doing what they love. This movie has what I think is the best ensemble cast in 2016. It's directed by Mike Birbiglia, yeah, the stand-up. And it stars him with Keegan-Michael Key, Gillian Jacobs, Kate Micucci, Chris Gethard, and Tammy Sager. And they just have such good chemistry as a group, and you really feel the group dynamic. You relate to these characters and identify with their struggle. And of course, you really connect with the theme of friendship that the movie is really working through. It goes to darker places, shows the downside of fame, the sacrifices must be made, and maybe above all, I love that it shines a spotlight on improv. It shows how the fundamentals of improv can apply to everyday life, and I think that's very important. This is a movie that it does things I think no other movie does. And it tells a story that you won't get elsewhere, done in a really, really good way that's really heartfelt. Even though it's about improv, you think it'd be comedically inclined, it's actually quite dramatic and touching and soulful. I can't stress enough how good this movie is. I've been recommending it to everyone, so go see it. I think it's on DVD. Check it out. I'm really hoping, I'm sure that you'll love it. And my number one best film of 2016 is La La Land. I know it's a bit typical, but damn it, La La Land is just so damn tremendous. It gets it right on all cylinders. The directing, the writing, the cinematography, the production design, especially in that last number. I've been expecting Damien Chazelle, a lot of him, since I saw Whiplash, but I didn't expect it this soon. This is a movie that both celebrates Hollywood in its classic style, in like the Ingrid Bergman poster, the homages to Rebel Without a Cause, but it also shows the kind of hellish modern reality, the fact that we see Mia going to countless auditions and being turned down because she's good but not good enough, and we see how hard it is to make it in this world. It's again another struggling artist story, and we see how for both of them it can really be soul crushing. But this is a movie that's both pessimistic and optimistic. The performances from Emma Stone and Ryan Gosling are so great. They have such terrific chemistry, but they're also really good separately, especially Emma Stone. They make for a really good on-screen couple, and what I love about this movie is that it deals with their relationship realistically. It shows what it's like for two artistic people to maintain a relationship, to struggle to maintain a relationship when they're both trying to follow their artistic dreams. And we see the strain it puts in it. It would have been so easy for this movie to just go in more of a cliched, classic direction, but they didn't. They go in some new directions. They make it interesting. They make it deep and fascinating. And the story is just so rich and engaging. And of course, Emma Stone and Ryan Gosling are fine singers. The music is wonderful. I love that jazz music it's got. And these songs are really smart. Damien Chazelle knows when to use them, and they're catchy. You remember them after you leave the theater. The Fools Who Dream. City of Stars. Someone in the Crowd. They're all very memorable, and you remember them. Their choreography is really, really good too. He knows how to shoot these kind of sequences. You can just tell that Chazelle is passionate about it, and this passion, it permeates the whole film, and it really has an effect. You feel the profound passion these characters have for what they do, and it makes you feel that passion. It makes you feel the passion for whatever you love. And for a movie to have that effect, to get that response of the audience, is something phenomenal. Yes, this movie is a little typically Oscar baity, but don't let that dissuade you. It's not just the Academy patting themselves on the back. It legitimately is. Anyone who goes to see it will find that it legitimately is a great piece of cinema, a vibrant, energetic, enjoyable, and really interesting work of art that I'm so pleased everyone's appreciating. So La La Land, go and see it. It is a absolutely terrific movie, and in my opinion, it's the best film of 2016. So, those are my top 10 films of 2016. Once again, you can read my reviews of most of the films I've talked about in the links provided at returnofthebosch.blogspot.ca. And let's hope 2017 gives us just as many great films to talk about. See you later.